Dear viewers, welcome to the Persecution Report, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the truth behind the current situations in Bangladesh. I'm Bidit today. Today, we'll talk about the post-election scenarios in Bangladesh. We know that in February, the country had general elections, which led to the formation of the new and the current government. After almost 18 months of Yunus regime, the country awaited for long an election which took place and that gave a government and that made an end to the Yunus's very autocratic and dictatorial and fascistic regime of 18 months. Of course, there are expectations, but of course, the reality may not be the same. So, in today's episode, we'll talk about how the current government is shaping up. What can we see after the election? What are the differences the current government can actually make? What the reality in the ground, particularly from the perspective of the law and order situation, which was the worst during Yunus's regime. We'll also look at the economic situation under the current global situation, global conditions. As you know, that the Middle East crisis is getting worse every day, and that has certain and very impending implications on the global economy as well as the economy of Bangladesh. So we'll also talk about that. It's not just about the influence of the global situation, but also how the government is actually responding to the internal problems, which certainly didn't look good during Yunus's time. So we'll talk about all these situations and issues today. In order to discuss these issues, we have Dr. Mamun Rashid, economist and academic. We have Mr. Tanwi Imroj Alam, member of the executive board, editorial board of BD Digest. And we have Mr. Anwar Shadat Jihan, aerospace engineer and columnist. First of all, I will come to Mr. Tonoim Roja Alam for his take about the current situations. Particularly, we see that the the law and order situation, as well as the level of social certainty and uncertainty, social security, how things have been shaping up in the last 1 month of the current government, and whether or not this is just kind of a continuation of the previous regime, or can we see something really and qualitatively different? Over to you, Mr. Alam.
Thank you, Bidda. When a new government comes to a country, people would expect to something better or something good. Given that 18 months of Muhammad Yunus, the expectation of Bangladeshi people on this government was very high. Given what's happening in Bangladesh, we are seeing a continuation of persecution, continuation of anarchy still prevailing in Bangladesh, especially when it comes to the members of Bangladesh Awami League, leaders of Bangladesh Awami League. Nothing has changed. Our rights have been eradicated. Last 26th of March was our Independence Day. It is a Bangladeshi culture that at the first minute of the day at 12 a.m. in the morning, we go and we pay our tribute. We commemorate our martyrs. We place a wreath, offer a minute of silence. This is our tradition. This is who we are, and this is an unalienable right for the Bangladeshi people to pay tribute to our national heroes, the martyrs of 1971. Bangladesh Awami League is barred from such action. We are barred from having the right to commemorate. There is no human dignity. Our people still are rotting in jail. Whenever our people gets bail from the jail gate, they are arrested again in false fabricated charges. Bangladesh Chapter League, the student wing of Bangladesh Awami League. Hundreds and thousands of our students, young people, are not allowed to go to the class for their exams. Hundreds of them lost their degree, their certificate have been cancelled. None of these issues have, have, have been addressed, and what we see is instead of addressing this gross violation of human rights, now there are more. Thank you so much. This is the current situation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. One thing we have to highlight here, which is very, very important, and I'm sure we cannot actually ignore the fact that the culture of mob violence, the culture of anarchy, which Mr. Allen alluded to, effectively started from the July-August incidents, right? And that's a time when anti-state and criminal elements burnt police stations, killed police officers, and also got engaged into subversive activities, right, which are punishable. We have seen in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, these sort of activities in the name of uprising were dressed according to the established law of that country. So, Mr. Jihan, what do you think about? Because you can still see there are controversies about those issues, and the government is not decisive whether or not the full force of law of the country should be acted against those criminal elements who perpetrated these activities in July, August 2024.
Thank you, Professor Dev. So, by this government, you mean the BNP government, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
And we all know what BNP is, the promoter of terrorism. We have seen between 2001 and 2006 what BNP stands for. So, what happened in July, the terrorist activities that we have seen, BNP themselves were also an active part to those terrorist activities. So how can you punish your own self? You cannot. And this is exactly what we are seeing since the last 1 month, right? Because for 18 months under the Yunus government, we have seen a brutal persecution of Awami League. And as the name of our episode suggests, that democracy on paper, but in reality, it's all about crisis, right? So what we have seen in this 1 month, the same trend continues. Awami League activists, right and left, are being persecuted even when they are arranging a simple iftar during the Holy Ramadan. In Bogura, a Chhatra League activist named Anis was arrested simply because he arranged an iftar and prayed for Bangabandhu, the father of the nation. So instead of removing the ban on Bangladesh Awami League, the illegal ban that the Yunus government has placed on Awami League, this BNP government is following the same trend. All the crises, from the fuel crisis to other crises on different spheres that we are seeing, you cannot manage those crises when you have a significant force of democracy absent. So what BNP needs to do, Professor Bidik De, is first and foremost remove this unjust illegal ban on Bangladesh Awami League, release all the prisoners who have been imprisoned. Many of them are sick, senior, elderly, even folks like President member of Bangladesh Awami League. So since BNP are part of those July terrorist activities, I don't know what they will do. But since we already have an election, whatever type of election it was, There was an election. BNP is in power now. So it is the job of BNP to bring back democracy in Bangladesh. And for that, we first need to remove the ban on Bangladesh Awami League. Back to you.
Thanks, Mr. Jihan.
However, there is a question, Dr. Tate, that is, we do not see any attempt from BNP to, suspend this ban, okay, the illegal one. Instead, the BNP leaders are saying Awami League should be banned. There should not be any, like they're saying it in public. So BNP, this is the same old party that promotes terrorism, party that promotes extortion in Bangladesh. We know that. We have seen them even taking for their extortion activities. They're taking up public toilets. This is the same party.
So it's not only just about Awami League as a political party and its leaders and activists. I mean, recently, Mr. Anis Alamgir, one of the eminent journalists who was wrongly and very unethically and unlawfully imprisoned by Yunus regime, came out and said that the situations of some other journalists and eminent personalities such as Mujammal Babu, Shamul Dotto, Shariar Kobir, Kalimullah Khan, right? So all these people, they are still behind the bars and on strange. I mean, Shariar Kobir, who is 70 year old, and he has been imprisoned on the allegation of committing murders, which is preposterous. So, so how would you judge that? I'll come back to Mr. Rashid later about the fuel crisis that Mr. Jihan mentioned. But Mr. Alam, what do you think about the general human rights conditions? And if the current government does not address this, they would be doing the same persecution, same human rights violation for which we hold Yunus regime accountable.
The basis of all human rights is human dignity. And this government, they are preventing people from having that rights. And not in secret, not tactfully. They're doing it openly. In public sphere, we hear what their people are saying. As I mentioned before, we did not even have the right to commemorate. And that speaks the volume. The jails are still full of innocent members of Bangladesh Awami League, most of whom are young, the youth. They fear that youth should be in jail. So there should not be any movement by Bangladesh Awami League. That's their tactics. The tactics of fear. The another tactic is the tactics of fear. The BNP leaders openly threatening people in their speeches, not only in the local level, also in the central level. The central people from central, the party center, are threatening people. Few of them have become the face to, that a human face they're putting, but most are not. This party, BNP, we Bangladeshi people, we know who they are. They're corrupt. They always takes Bangladesh behind. And this is exactly what they are doing right now. There is no rule of law. There is no due process. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Tanay Bhai, the party president himself, the party chief himself, is proven corrupt by the Federal Bureau of Investigation of the United States. Just putting it on the record.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Mr. Jihan. Thanks, Mr. Alam. So we can see that when it comes to law and order situation, when it comes to governance, when it comes to human rights conditions, it appears that the current BNP government is actually following the textbook of Yunus regime. And in effect, we do not see any difference. In the last 1 month, there has been the same level of crimes and murders. So the social security is at the rock bottom level. The level of insecurity people are currently feeling or facing is sort of same as what it happened during the 18 months period of Yunus regime. But at the same time, dear viewers, you all know that we are on the verge of, perhaps, if not yet, we are entering into perhaps the biggest global economic crisis. With the Middle East situation going from bad to worse every day, we feel that many countries, or all countries around the world, will be facing severe economic hardship. And where do we stand about it? Do we see that Bangladesh government is making decisive and promising and proactive measures, or they're sleepwalking into an economic crisis? On that point, I would like to hear from Dr. Rashid that how the fuel crisis, how the Middle East crisis is going to impact on Bangladesh and what the government is doing currently in that regard.
Thank you, Professor Day. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, thanks.
Let me start with referring to the previous discussion a bit. If you look at the strategies, as you're asking me whether the current government, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, whether they're ready for the economic crisis that is coming or already happening. You see, BNP has two selling points, or used to have two selling points. One is they used to call themselves uncompromising on many aspects, and also they are multi-party. They are the introducer of multi-party government democracy in Bangladesh. That is their selling points. Now, if you look at these two selling points now in the current context, the first one, BNP is no more uncompromising. They have compromised the entire safety, security, and sovereignty of the country. That's how they came to government. We all know it. And BNP is also obstructing their very promise that they are multi-party democratic, um, kind of like supporting or promoting multi-party democracy. They are stopping Awami League. And also, we shouldn't forget that they are also indirectly stopping Jatiya Party as well. If you remember the recent election, for some reason, Jatiya Party being very strong in their own areas, especially in the northern part of the country, didn't get a single um, seat in their own region. It's quite suspicious. So the multi-party democratic condition, or the promise, or the um, key aspect of the BNP that has been going on for quite some time now is no more with BNP. So it's a completely different type of BNP that we see now. They are not fulfilling their promises. Now, looking into why I believe this government, the current government, is not prepared for the economic crisis, is because let us look into the institutional health that was left by the previous regime, the Yunus illegal regime. Um, as you know, that our textbook example says that institutional health in a country, though it's institutional democracy in a country, depends on obviously institutional quality, the quality of the institutions. Aside to that, obviously includes rule of law and all other 7 measures that we have in the institutional quality. There is an important point in the institutional quality, or that stops the institutional void, is the constitutional continuation of the policies, continuation of the good policies from the previous government or the previous regime. As you can see, that the Yunus administration, neither the Yunus administration nor the current BNP government has any interest of looking into what has been done during Sheikh Hasina's government and the good things, good practices from those, and eventually continuing them. That eventually led to the current health crisis. I believe you are aware of it. And also during Sheikh Hasina's government in the oil and gas sector, there has been a massive investments in terms of logistical collaboration with the neighboring countries. That eventually led to the supply of diesel coming from India through the pipeline, saving the country from a massive embarrassment, I believe. None of these policies or institutional capacities are being marketed as a positive, you know, um, contribution of Sheikh Hasina's government to the country. Neither these are being taken as a policy, supporting policies for the government, for the businesses, for the people. Um, Institutional quality is also important to carve fear, also to build confidence, as my colleague Jihan and also Mr. Alam pointed that there has been there has been parties orchestrating mobs in the past regime. Now it's being continued even more by the BNP supporters everywhere. There are
Even the
extortion.
Bangladesh bank appointment in the economic sector, if we want to say that here.
The extortions in business sector was quite official and formally kind of like announced by number of business associations, BCCI, MCCI, and others, that this has been a risky venture from the very beginning, and it was officially happening. And the government didn't say a single thing about it. Rather, the home minister, sorry, the minister for, I think, bridges and roads, I think is, if I correctly identify him, he said that was part of the deal. He said that extortion is actually part of the deal. So with that kind of environment, I don't think that there is a institutional health or any discussion around it with the current government. The last one, I believe, we felt quite clearly during our research on the Yunus regime was that quality of information. Now, if you remember correctly, I think the day before yesterday or yesterday, the health minister of the current government, BNP government, said that for the last 8 years, the country didn't have any vaccine for the measles. Well, that's not true, right? So, aside to this, there has been distortion of information so at a level, so massive at levels that the right information was not given. Even the lies became now the new norms everywhere in the institutions. People are saying that this was the best Eid in terms of transportation and others, when the data shows, I think, more than what, 270 people died only
300, 300 people,
in the span of
more
what,
than
the
300.
10 days, in 10 days, only in transportation, only because of the mismanagement of the transportation sector, let alone the direct the extortion by the owners of the buses and other transportation means during the Idul Fitr transportation of the people from the city areas to the village areas. So quality of information, a key ingredient for quality institution. There is no promise from anyone in the current government that that has to be ensured in order to give or ensure the right quality or quality of institution for democracy or other things. So I give it back to you with these concluding remarks that none of the supportive policies from the previous government was taken to at least say that these were the good policies. We want to continue them. Nothing was there as clear that will be supporting our businesses. There is no clear policies. Rather, this was a copy paste of some of the policies, for example, regarding the farmers card, regarding family cards. These were all previous government's policies now being copied and pasted into the BNP government's policies. So back to you. I'm quite frustrated with this. That
On that, on that, on that note, the misinformation, the quality of information, the ongoing missile situation in Bangladesh serves as a burning example what the minister have said and what's the reality. In the past 15, 16 years, it was beyond imagination of Bangladeshi people that a child could die out of missile because we are one of those countries that eradicated these diseases like measles and tetanus. What's happened in just in the past 1 month? 50 plus children. They're almost infant children that all of them are under 1.5 years old, passed away. They're deceased because of measles the outbreak that country is seeing. The point is
Mhm.
that Bangladesh's program for polio and measles is one of the not one of the best, the best in the world, the best in the world, recognized by international bodies such as WHO and UNICEF. The minister now saying, let's see, this child are like 1.5 years old, okay, they're below 1.5 years old. So it is imaginable that these people, these children, they didn't get vaccines during the time of youth when they were born. And now to feed the mass, the minister is saying, okay, this is the fault of Awami League government. What the reality is, Awami League government had a program for vaccination that was considered the best in the world, not like one of the best, the best, by recognized by WHO and UNICEF. And this is what we are seeing. Like they
In
are
in
trying
fact,
to hide the
John,
truth behind
um,
lies, like
I
patent
think
lies.
it would be fair to say that since 80s, since HM Eshad's time, the vaccination programs in Bangladesh went from strength to strength, and Bangladesh is one of the is a case study in the developing world about how you can implement effective vaccination programs. What the nation should be proud about. It's about vaccination, about family planning. In those areas, the country has achieved a lot. And as you mentioned, this culminated during Hasina's time, during Awami League time, and garnered a lot of enviable achievements and success. And what
There,
is
Professor
also
there,
discussed, yeah, yes, Mr. Jihan, yeah.
I can quickly add something. BMP government, what it appears to me is that they are focusing on pointless, meaningless stuff. How soon, like 5 minutes earlier, Prime Minister went to the Parliament. Prime Minister did that. Prime Minister's family member did that. They are busy about those because BMP, we all know, has a real bad image. Because BMP's last term in government was between 2001 and 2006, and we all know, and Bangladesh all know what they did.
We,
So
we
to
became
recover that,
champion as the corrupt country, most corrupt country. We
correct.
were champion 5 years in a row between 2001 and 2005. That is Bangladesh Nationalist Party. That
So now
is
they
my
are trying to probably curate
that's
this
the
image.
legacy.
Did you also feel that throughout Yunus's time and even now, BNP hesitates to criticize Yunus regime? They hardly come clean to blame and to identify and highlight that all the many BNP intelligentsia, people who the from the intellectual community, BNP leaning journalists, BNP leaning social media influencers, they have been highly critical about Yunus regime. But BNP as a political party and their leadership and their various ministers in the current government do not have the courage or honesty or
No,
to
you cannot blame yourself. In politics, you cannot blame yourself. So the point is that during Yunus regime and BNP regime is just two different faces. So what we know in Bangladesh, we know Jamaat Islam, BNP, they're all same party. Yunus, they're all same. They're all together. Okay, one time they're putting this face, and it's like that many-faced God from the Game of Thrones. There's a different time, different faces. So BNP, Yunus regime was actually the BNP regime. Okay, it's like how many times Jamaat Islam now saying, okay, the another face that Yunus give BNP advantage in the election. They rigged the election for BNP. This is the fact. Okay,
Even, oh my,
we have
even
to say
even
no.
the Even the student coordinators are now coming open about the deep state, that the deep state supposedly gave them offer to stay in power.
Do not get into that. This that what Dr. Mamunur Rashid said about this debate, what they're doing. The country is going through like monumental problem, and so the people, to make sure people do not focus on those problems like our children are dying. It's an outbreak. Okay, our children, 1.5 years of babies are dying out of measles in Bangladesh because they didn't vaccinate it. Okay, here is something more interesting. See, from the measles program, the vaccination program we have are mainly funded by United Nations or European Union, all these foreign donors, and they have assured like till 2030 Bangladesh will get funding. So Bangladesh had the funds. They gave the funds to Bangladesh, and what they did, these funds were not used to buy vaccines. Instead of buying vaccines, they did it, they used it for something else. Maybe they just looted the money. That's what happened. It was the government of mismanagement, government of lies, government of no accountability, and now they are a government of killers because now they're killing babies.
One thing was for
It's
sure that Yunus regime, notwithstanding their lack of sincerity, they're also incompetent. They
no,
had
what
no
I didn't finish
ideas.
it. I didn't finish it. I did that. What
Yeah.
I didn't finish it that. So because of they're so incompetent and so many things going on in this country right now. So to divert the public focus, what they're doing, they are using the 1971 debate that okay, Jamaat BNP now saying Jamaat Islam is Rajakar, and then okay, Giselle Rahman is, that he and now like proclaimed our independence. They're bringing forward these debates, so it's just like they're playing games. Like they're now saying okay, deep state. One part of them, let's say NCP, National Citizens Party, and Jamaat Islam, they are now talking about deep state. So it's just they're bringing it so to divert people's focus. That's all it is. So do not fall into that trap. Let's not talk about deep state. Let's not talk about all these. Okay, do not fall into that trap.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Alam and Mr. Jihan. So, Dr. Rashid, from what Mr. Jihan and Mr. Alam said, one thing is for clear is that the country is not in a good shape right now. What's your prognosis about the economic current conditions? How well the country is equipped currently to tackle or face the impending global economic crisis?
Thank you. About a month ago, when the current government started, I gave them 6 months that they will most probably, with good conditions, would be able to run for about 6 months. Now they have already surrendered, because of the crisis. Now there might be a discussion that this international crisis with Iran and others, you know, put the BNP government in crisis. No, the government started with the crisis from the previous regime, mostly because of the mismanagement. Now, just think about it. Has it not been for the decisions made by Sheikh Hasina on energy issues with collaborations with India and others, what kind of crisis we would have been right now in Bangladesh? You can't even explain it. Now, I would like to take you back to certain issues that I think demand a deeper explanation. Now, as we now know that people changed, but policy remains, as Mr. Alam emphasized on that this is actually the same Yunus regime. It's just different name, different people, with a different package. And that means they are still continuing the same propaganda and hiding the same problems. What kind of problems they are facing? Have you seen anything with the BNP government telling us about the health of our export. The export has been going down for the last 9 months, including this March. There is no improvement there, no policy change, nothing. That means the government is not ready in order to talk to the industries to revive the overall situation and also to curb the fear and boost confidence. Talk about inflation. This is the fifth month inflation is increasing, now crossing the barrier of almost 9.5%, I believe, gradually going towards a double digit rate, meaning that this is going to push all of your rates, the prime rates and the bank rates, eventually making bank loans more expensive, affecting your consumption and also affecting your private investments. I can tell you from the data that the significant reduction in bank loans in private sector is continuing. So meaning that you won't see industrial purchase, you won't see massive investment to change the industrial landscape in the near future. Look at the prices of energy. Now, in informal market, in carb market, I think per liter is being sold at twice the price for the energy. Even though the government is shouting that energy is everywhere, we have made sure that energy supply is there, but we understand that cost is going up. Now, energy price is so significant that this is going to affect your prices of production or production cost, and eventually affecting the prices of essential commodities going to the market. So people now in the near future, say around the end of April or the mid of April, people will realize the increasing price of the daily necessities, if not already started in the market. And then, have you seen central bank coming up with a policy directive on all these issues? There is no action seen from the central bank. Nothing on the stability of the financial sector. Now, today I have seen, which we have seen in the past as well, that out of 36 banks, 18 of them currently having an NPL ratio of less than 10%, and the remaining banks having NPL ratio of more than 10%. Now, when Sheikh Hasina left in July 2024, our NPL was in the overall banking sector close to 13%, meaning that the significant amount of rise in NPL, there is no policy change from the central bank so far in order to rescue the banking sector from that. Now, yesterday, I believe you have seen a report that any loan more than 1 crore in the banking sector is currently facing a non-performing rate of around 30%, meaning that for every 100,000 you are giving out as loan, 30,000 is not coming back. This cannot be a banking sector you run with. Central bank didn't come up with a single policy reassuring the bankers that you give out loans, we are going to take out some of the risk factors. Rather, what they are doing, they are busy with marketing farmers card, family card, not looking at the stability of the entire banking sector.
And also all these things happening when we have recent report that the government debt has significantly increased.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, what are the incentives available for large farms and the smaller farms? Nothing. No information about it. No policy change about the incentives should be given to the large companies to come back to the market, start producing, and also that may have a significant positive impact on the prices. However, I'm not sure whether you have seen the report or a statement in a news conference, I believe, by Mr. Miza Fakhrul, that government will not take any responsibility for the reduction of the taxes and the VAT for the businesses. So there were questions about what is the government's policy, whether they are going to be any incentive for the businesses or the for the small and large enterprises in terms of reducing the tax burden. The government said they don't have any power. They actually said they don't have any power to do it. Who is going to do it? Who is running the government? Who is running the country? That the government doesn't have the right or the power to control the tax and VAT policies for the businesses, meaning that there are certain sectors in the country are actually directly being controlled by outsiders. We know that there are impact on agricultural sector, that some powerful foreign countries are trying to capture our consumers and also industrial supply in the agricultural sector. What about other sectors? Is are many other sectors part of this NDA, non-disclosure agreement, that we are actually selling our industrial sectors to others? This is really, really suspicious, and raising a lot of concern that
Yeah.
about the overall industrial health of the country. Back to you, Professor Day.
Thank you, Dr. Rashid. So I'll come back to both Mr. Jihan and Mr. Alum, whoever wants to take this question. Of course, you guys already have mentioned that basically it's just a different phase, but the heart of the government remains same as previously. But also the faces are same, at least on two occasions. Mr. Khalilur Rahman, as Dr. Rashid was alluding to international relations, so he was the national security advisor of Dr. Yunus, and now he is our foreign minister. And also someone named Mr. Ashik Chaudhry, who heads BETA. So these two significant and very important appointments by Yunus continue to sustain the current time. So first thing is that, is that a conflict of interest? That an interim government who arranged an election, the two key figures continue to remain in their positions, and both of those are political appointments. And so does that severely question about the integrity of the interim government? And also, does it also question about the competency of the current government? Because perhaps they don't have good enough people to take those positions. How do you look at that? Over to you. Yes, Mr. Jihan can go first, and Mr. Alam, yeah.
Conway bhai, go ahead.
No, I can give it to you. Please continue. I was concentrating on that.
There remains a clear conflict of interest. Absolutely, there is a conflict of interest. Khalilur Rahman, the National Security Advisor, there are allegations about him being the appointee of some specific country. So when you have that specific country's chief investigation bureau having certain information about the current prime minister, there is a clear conflict of interest, and there is a clear path by which that country can blackmail the current Bangladeshi government to achieve whatever goal it wants to achieve. So, and also by the chairman.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, he appeared in the scene of Bangladesh, but he continues to remain on the scene. I don't know on the basis of what. So there might have been some sort of negotiation between BMP and a certain group, Professor Day. And part of that negotiation was these two individuals who now are in current government. And you are absolutely correct when you say that perhaps they did not have good enough people. That's why they had to resort to this clear conflict of interest.
It's either or both, so we cannot speculate here, but it seriously definitely raises serious questions about the current government's intent. Over to you, Mr. Allen.
Conflict of interest, for sure, but there is something greater. Greater because, you see, out of all these people, we know two people in states, Ashik Chaudhry and Khalilur Rahman. So what do we know about these two people from the past 18, 19 months of Yunus government? That these two are the best at selling Bangladeshi interest, selling Bangladeshi assets to the foreigners, to foreign entities. That's their expertise. Ashik Chaudhry, we have seen selling our ports. Ashik Chaudhry, we have seen, doing deals with companies. Okay, we did like no regularities. Khalil Rahman as well. He is an American person. He is not even Bangladeshi citizen. This person, and it is as simple. These two.
Don't you need to be a Bangladeshi citizen to be a minister of Bangladesh?
Of course, okay, but they do not care. Okay, Bangladesh. Okay, as I said, the rule of law, the constitution, people's mandate, nothing is existent in Bangladesh right now. That's the whole point. That there is no due process in Bangladesh right now under these people.
Mr. Alam, does it apply equally to the prime minister as well? As we heard that he was part of the he was in the UK and he was a UK citizen or something, so he surrendered.
I mean, when it comes to a prime minister, Because he took an oath, I am not going to speculate as we do not have any definitive proof of it. Let's put it this way. But there are some people about whom we are sure. Khalilur Rahman is one of them. So when the best thing about Awami League, the members of Awami League, that we do not lie, we do not fabricate truth. Okay, we put it as it is. So we are not going to speculate about Tariq Rahman. We are going to give him benefit of doubt until we have proof, evidence. But to put it, that conflict of interest question, as simple as it is far greater than conflict of interest. It is that these two persons are really good at selling Bangladesh to foreign entities, and that's why they're here.
Thank you. So we are reaching the last 15 minutes of this episode, and we'll now talk about what's next. I know it's difficult to predict, particularly with the current situations. We have got economic uncertainties, we have got political uncertainties as well, because we know that Jamaat-e-Islami and NCP are behind the scene, and they are also trying to put pressure on the government. And that can potentially lead to further unrest politically. We can see that the law and order situation from the discussion that has completely collapsed, and it never improved from July-August scenario till date. So, Mr. Alam, what do you think about the general political trajectory? Where are we heading from here, and what's the future looks like to you?
You see, when you have a government that follows the rules, the plays according to the books, understand the international norm, care about people and society, care about their reputation, and their past is good, you can actually predict. But the people who are ruling Bangladesh right now, as we just a few minutes ago, we said that two people they kept because of their expertise in selling Bangladeshi interests to foreign entities. And this is everywhere. So you cannot predict really what's going to happen. But one thing we can predict, that these are all incompetent people, and Bangladeshi people, the common people, they are going to suffer. Bangladeshi people are already suffering enormously. And what's happening is this, I mean, like people, the opportunity is so limited now. We saw reports of our fertilizer, which for Bangladesh is part and parcel. Without it, we couldn't, survive even. Fertilizer, whatever we have, we already have shortage, and but the rest are smuggled out of the country to Myanmar, to India. I do not, India, that's not going to be profitable, but to Myanmar. Our fertilizers are smuggled out, and these smugglers are BNP local party members. And they're just, staying kept silent. There is silent. The government, there is no action. As we have seen, our children, like in the past few days, that were more than 100 of babies died because of vaccine. 100 babies. Can you, like one, this is 2026. One children dying because of vaccine is far too many. And we have seen 100. And government is playing the blame game. These are like, they do not care about people. They want to stay in power no matter what, and for that they will be living. They're just going to follow a go above propaganda agenda, and that's what they are. There is no prediction. They're going to, what Bangladesh Awami League has to do is do what Bangladesh Awami League does best: defend Bangladeshi people. So at the end, Bangladesh Awami League has to defend Bangladeshi people. We will have to prevent it from happening. We will have to resist. We will have to bring resistance to it, and that's how it's going to work.
Thanks,
So,
Mr.
adding
Alam.
to starting from what Tonoy has said, Bangladesh Awami League has to defend the rights of the people. There is only one party, that is Bangladesh Awami League, that defends the right of the people of Bangladesh. And for that, in the future, in the near future, what needs to happen, according to my very personal opinion, is that first and foremost, all the prisoners who are imprisoned, all the Awami League leaders, senior leaders, activists that are imprisoned, they need to be freed. All the fake, fabricated murder charges and all other politically motivated charges need to be dropped. The ban, the illegal ban on Awami League needs to be withdrawn, and there cannot be any, this government cannot impede Awami League from their organizing activities, from their political activities.
On that note, Mr. Jihan, just for the clarity to our audience, particularly the international audience, the current parliament has got government is a more of a center right, and opposition is a far right party. So there is no left or center left in the parliament. Outside the parliament, Awami League is banned. There is a small faction of leftist parties here and there who have got very limited voice. So within the political spectrum, within the political debates and discourses, we do not see the full picture. And in the current situation, what do you think about that? Because that is limiting people's expectations, that is limiting people's voices, that is limiting scopes for policy landscape debates. How do you assess that?
You are absolutely right, because the conspirators who were active party to this conspiracy was anti-Bangladesh, right? And the identity of Bangladesh is about secularism, is about nationalism, is about democracy, and is about political socialism, right? So when you want to change the total identity of Bangladesh, you exclude the people that you just mentioned, the left, right? Awami League and the other leftist parties. So that's what is what I think, Professor Day, is that these conspirators, they are trying to change the identity of Bangladesh, as we know Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So
In other words, it's not really just about Bangladesh. Any other country would have been in serious political myopia, if I may say that, one-sided vision, right? So it would be severely limited views and vision of a country which doesn't have the full spectrum of political ideologies and activities. Thanks. Now, Dr. Rashid, I'd like to, because we have got a few minutes left, I'd like to receive some words of wisdom from you about what should be the practice or economic policies, and where do you see that the deficiencies are quite glaring?
Thank you. I believe that the government has a tendency to seek attention rather than serving people's interest. And
Exactly.
that's why none of their policies are actually targeted to solving everyday problems. So you have possibly seen from the newspaper that the government is planning to do second Jamuna Bridge and second Podda Bridge. There's today's news, I think, or yesterday's news. So this is another point of discussion. So they won't be able to do it. There's no money in the country to do it. So they will either take a loan, a big amount of loan, or other things. But there are other discussion going in terms of producing weapons in the southern part of the country. So there is a distraction happening from the oil crisis, the energy crisis, the agricultural crisis, the crimes, and all other health crises, and to move the attention of everybody to something else. My advice would be slightly different. I have talked about it in the past. If BNP and all others in the party, I don't separate Jamaat from BNP. I believe that they are kind of like in a coalition government. I feel if they really want to survive Bangladesh, they have to call back Awami League as soon as possible into a national framework and stop this nonsense of making legal issues against the Awami League party members, because the supporters of the regime, the current regime, is gradually now coming out and saying that, somebody else have killed those students, not Awami League, not the police. I think that you heard Mr. Farad Mozar yesterday or today. He was talking about that somebody else called Deep State kill those students. We know that discussion about deep state is completely useless because you are blaming somebody you can't touch, you can't talk about. Nobody knows who is a deep state. So they are trying to, remove the blame from their own shoulder and putting it to somebody else and saying that we didn't do it, we were not part of it, or these Awami League people didn't kill it, somebody else killed it. This is a nonsense talk. If they didn't do it, and we know that they didn't do it, why still there are 2000 new cases filed against the Awami League people in the last 17 months? There are like 22,000 or 25,000 people in jail right now.
But 29,000, 29,000.
29,000 people in jail. So you keep them in jail, and you are saying that Awami League is not free to do any political activism. And then you are saying, oh, they may not be responsible, somebody else is responsible. And then in every action, you target Sheikh Hasina, that she killed people or she instructed to kill. This is nonsense, total nonsense. So forget about those. If you really want true things, good things for Bangladesh, talk to all the political parties. Awami League and Jatiyo Party holds what, around 60% of the people, 60-70% of the people, and they have rightly given their responses in the recent election. We have seen it. So talk to them without engaging these people, 40%, 50% people. You can never bring Bangladesh's economic progress to the level what Sheikh Hasina did. Even the enemies of Sheikh Hasina, the opponents of Sheikh Hasina, always said that she was the prime minister of everyone. During her time, Jamaat TV did good business, BNP made a lot of money, and Awami League people also did business. So by stopping 50% of the population, you can never bring this economy to a level where Sheikh Hasina did. So I believe that this is the right time to talk to all
This
the
is actually like Awami League coming back to Bangladeshi political landscape. Actually, that's good for BNP for the future, because we know that the difference between BNP and Jamaat Islam is not much, and Jamaat Islam now has a new front, which is National Citizens Party, and we know that BNP has people, okay, the right-wing people. There are some progressives. Then they have right-wing, like, who doesn't want to become Jamaat Islam, but they are Jamaat Islam, but they do not want that tag. So for that, okay, Jamaat Islam can take them using the NCP level, and those are extremely far right in BNP. Jamaat Islam will take them too. In Jamaat Islam, they can accommodate them. And the only way BNP can survive is that when Awami League will come, and people, they know that, okay, there's only big banner to compete against Awami League in Bangladeshi political landscape is going under BNP. So those with the center right and other right wing mentality, they will stay with BNP. Otherwise, politically, BNP is, I see a gloomy future for BNP. Especially another thing we should consider, the bad governance they are going to provide, as they do not have people who can run the government. You'll have to, for running the government, you'll have to have those people, those quality people that do not have.
Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks, my esteemed panel member today. So, dear viewers, the summary is that the inflation is skyrocketing, the banking sector is hemorrhaging, the macroeconomic conditions look as feeble as you can ever imagine, while these economic indicators are demonstrating some serious issues and cause for concerns, where at the same time we see that the political landscape is still the same as Yunus's time. We see that the law and order situation has no sign of improvement. Rather, we can see further social issues such as death of children. We see transport accidents killing hundreds. So we are on the verge of a serious national crisis. And at this point, the least the government could do is to behave reasonably by lifting the ban on Awami League, letting the unlawfully and unreasonably imprisoned politicians, intellectuals, and activists out and establishing a consensus across the country for healthy political debate, for democratic practices, which can save the country from going into a complete disaster. Thanks for being with us. Till we meet next time, stay away, stay well, stay safe, stay informed. Thank you very much. I am Bidit Day signing off.